rebirth, health. Sekke, or coins, obviously, denotes wealth, and in this stock market and in this day and age, you can believe my half-seen table was stocked with a lot of sekke. No harm in hoping, right? As I said, the nuts, the mixture of nuts, the ajir mushkil gosha, many people put that on their half-seen table as well. Candles for light, symbolism of light. And then Iranians of varying backgrounds also make the decision to put either a Quran or a book of the poetry of Hafiz, or what have you, whatever your tradition is, also on the table as a way of, spiritualizing the experience even more. I think that really is a personal choice. I mean, if a family tends to be more sort of traditionally Islamic, you would see a Quran on their New Year table. We have friends who annually reject that model and much rather embrace the non-religious literary tradition of Iran and opt for Divan and Hafiz. So that's really just a personal choice, but I think, again, it sort of adds to the spirituality of the moment, but also as a way of trying to, of creating a community. The experience of communing at that moment, I think, is very, very significant. And as you will see also this evening, no New Year would be complete without food and revelry. And the food that is selected for this purpose also is in many ways tied to the half-seen table. Oh, I actually forgot to mention one of the other important objects on the half-seen table, which is the fish. The water symbolizes light and purity. You see, I think there's a fish bowl of goldfish over there. So the symbolism of the goldfish and the water, also purity, running water, very important. Light, meaning light. All of these are very important images associated with rebirth and the New Year. But the food itself, in many ways, also draws upon the themes of the half-seen table. So, for example, the dishes that are traditionally associated with the half-seen, the main dish, one of the main dishes is called sabzi polo. You'll notice that the root of the word is the same as sabze, meaning this, this green rice or this herbal rice. And it's this wonderfully, cooked rice with herbs that typically include parsley, coriander, chives, dill, and fenugreek. And it is often served with fish, almost always served with fish. And again, depending on where you're from in Iran, the other dishes associated with the feast of Nowruz in many ways will be different. But the main ones are the ones that I just explained, the sabzi polo and mahi. And literally every household that you visit in Iran will have that one main dish on its table. And finally, and this is where the talk will end, I think appropriately, is again, in Iran, as in other parts of the world where people celebrate or have festivals, New Year's festivals, it's not just a day, it's a period. There's a period of celebration, and this time, typically 2 weeks, is a time to sort of regroup with the family. It's a time to, well, it doesn't always work out that way, but let bygones be bygones. Move ahead, rebirth both, in terms of friendship. And typically what happens is, you go and you visit your relatives. You see them, and then they come back and they see you. And because this can be very time-consuming, it's unsurprising that the visiting period, for lack of a better word, is typically a 2-week period. But there's also another reason why this is the case. And that is that on the 13th day of the New Year, and again, very similar to the other traditions that other cultures also experience, the 13th day is viewed as the day of trying to put aside bad luck, evil spirits, and so on. And so typically on the 13th day, which is 13 in Persian is sizde, so you want to kind of, there's a tradition, and actually sizde bedar was yesterday, this tradition of the 13th day, that we mark in the new year, and in this new year was actually yesterday, April 2nd. And it literally means, to 13 out, put the 13 out. And literally, families go outside, they have a picnic, and then, you're supposed to throw your sabzi at that point that you've grown into a running body of water. And the intent or the intention is that, all the evil spirits have been sucked up into the sabzi, and then it flows away, in the water away from you, and to welcome a new spirit of good fortune into your lives, prosperity and so on into your lives. Again, in this country, I have to say, it is sometimes hard. I live in New York, so we're blessed with 2 rivers on either side of us. But even so, now that I make it a habit of making my own sabzes, I've noticed that my kids also want to make their own. And so we have like a big pile of sabze, and we always have to look over our shoulders to make sure that when we go to the East River or the Henry Hudson River, that no one is thinking that we're doing something extraordinarily untoward. All we're doing is just throwing these sabzes in the water. And of course it takes a lot of explaining for the children too, because their friends aren't always doing the same things in school. But I hope, and I really am very grateful for this opportunity to come here this evening to try to explain to you very briefly, very succinctly, shortly, some of the essential traditions that are associated with the Persian New Year, just from a more personal perspective. There's really, in many ways, nothing more rewarding and nothing more sort of inspiring than celebrating this New Year for many Iranians and Iranian Americans. Because there's so much tradition tied with it, because it symbolizes so much that is good, rebirth, family, communion, health, and I think it's really a wonderful opportunity for Iranians and Iranian Americans to be able to share this very special tradition and aspect of the culture with the larger audience that at the very least looks forward to spring after a long winter. Thank you so much.